The Hedgeless Horseman here. It's December the 7th, 2022. I actually don't remember what happened with the metals today. I guess they were kind of flat or down or something like that. This is mostly going to be some random comments in this video. First of all, I like Bob Moriarty's piece, the difference between signal and noise. I mean, like I've said before, it's probably just in the last 2 years that I fully started to grasp just how important it is to understand sentiment and stop taking Mr. Market too seriously on any given day or even any given month or pretty much any given year, which you've seen recently. And I've shown this chart a few times, and again, it's like says nothing about the short term, says nothing about next month even. Doesn't necessarily suggest anything about the next 6 months, but it says a lot about the next 2 years. So basically it's worthless for any sort of short-term trading or even medium-term trading. Long-term quote trading, it says everything, in my opinion. And so that's what I'm gonna stick to. Well, I guess I mostly do alpha investing anyway, but to make it really simple, it's just, buy between this mean, buy all you can, buy as it gets cheaper, and within around 2 years you'll probably sit at a very good profit, and if you just repeat that forever, you're gonna beat the market handedly. Actually can get really good gains, especially again if you have a bit of stock picking skills and can use that alpha so you don't actually crash 80% every time we go into sentiment extreme lows in this case. I mean, it's like, I think Bob said it best here. When they're cheap, you should buy. When they are dear, you should sell. It's in the friggin' books. He's written quite a few books about investing, and I really like his book called Nobody Knows Anything. And again, that his points get highlighted almost every day. Especially now, because anytime the market is down or miners are down, and most mining stocks are down. Again, doesn't matter if it's an exploration project. Absolutely nothing has happened on that day. No news is out. So, I mean, for all we know, many juniors might have actually increased in value. Maybe they made a discovery that we have yet to learn about. That doesn't matter. If the metal prices are down, typically miners get sold. Or if there's a liquidity event, the market's crashing, it's risk off, yada yada yada. So it's like pretty much everything you see on a daily basis in terms of price is absolutely noise. And therefore it's absolutely opportunity. If it's, let's say, up a lot on no news, that risk reward just got a bit worse. If a stock is down on no news, that risk reward got a bit better. And of course, again, from a longer term perspective, I don't sell the rips when we're this low. I'm waiting for this. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is that every day any stock right now at these levels is down on no negative news. It's a buying opportunity. And I mean, even if they're up from these levels on any given day, that's still a buying opportunity, just degrees. But like we've seen, I think Western Alaska hit $2.5 2 days ago or something. It's up at, I don't know, 318 maybe. maybe more than that, but that's like 20 to 30% or something it has gone up from just the bottom of that day. I bought some shares that day. It's like, okay, if that was a small purchase though, and I already have a pretty good position, but I mean 30%, and I don't see the risk. I mean, I know a lot, not a lot, but some people in the forums like, yeah, but they're gonna need to raise money, so people just assume that one of the best stories around in the silver space is just gonna go down, and they're willing to hold off buying something that is already cheap because they think it can get cheaper because there's we're going into the winter and they need to raise money, but I don't want to gamble on that. If I didn't buy it at $2.50, for example, if that went even lower, the ones who didn't buy it $2.50, I mean, they would think, yeah, okay, I made a good decision. It went down. No, again, it's like what I said a bunch of times. That's just, in my opinion, greed. You're greedy. If you expect to have a solid return over the next 2 years from $2.5 per share, holding off is just basically saying, no, I'm not happy with 200% in 2 years, let's say. I want 300. It's like, I mean, 200% is superb. I mean, that's beyond superb. But that's the kind of stuff I see all the time. And anytime someone holds off buying something that is cheap and it goes lower, they think they made a good decision because the result was that it actually went lower. But I think that just forms bad habits, that you're too short-term oriented overall. And again, it's like you're basically betting that everybody thinks like you, or that somebody will actually be okay selling it even lower, even though it's like, to me, a huge opportunity. So I'm paranoid about the market understanding the opportunity, and or at least there's somebody out there who has some money that realize, hey, this is too cheap, even if they're gonna finance because they're gonna be very aggressive next year. That's not my style. I think perfectionism is something that's totally worthless in investing overall. I mean, a no-brainer case, let's say, I mean, it shouldn't require precision. I mean, if it's not a buy it, in this case, let's say Western Alaska 250, but you want to get it at 230, I mean, that's a 20-cent difference. So if that is actually the difference between not buying and buying, then it's not even a good case. I mean, almost by definition, I would say. So again, I think it's just greed, but that's how people work. Like you said here, the only people I know who make money on a consistent basis are contrarians. All you have to do is determine what the mob is doing and do the opposite. And I love this quote. It is so simple, most people can't come to grips with the concept. I think that sums up this chart perfectly. This is so stupidly simple that it's kind of boring and it almost feels moronic, because you see out there all kinds of services about trading, and every day you see a bunch of charts and people guess where silver and gold is going to go tomorrow or in the short term, or where miners are going to go, or discuss if we're in a bear or a bull market and yada yada. And of course, I mean, from a incentive standpoint, if I couldn't run a newsletter on this chart, it's like, well, the newsletter would basically be just look at this chart and have fun. Or that okay, we're down in at these levels, just buy them, wait 2 years. I mean, that's like, okay, come back in 2 years, whatever, and you wouldn't even need to buy the next issue because you already have that short. But if again, how do you get people hooked, let's say, on if you're a technical trader? That's basically to have constant focus on the short term, that you always need to be updated. You always need to let's say, get the next issue, even though it's like nothing really at all changed in 1 month or 2 months. We were already cheap and just got cheaper first, and then we're a bit less cheap, etc. So again, it's like I keep pointing this chart out, but it makes this, in my opinion, sector boringly easy. Like you said, it's so simple, most people can't come to grips with the concept, because you see all the, you know, the very, I mean, smart macro people out there making predictions, and you have been told that the market is super hard to beat typically because you have bad results. Or 95% of people can't beat an index, so of course everybody's going to think that, hey, I mean, it's very, very hard to beat this market. I better get a, I don't know, money manager. There's a reason why there's so many advisors and hedge funds and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, with all their formulas, etc. I mean, it's silly, again, to think that, okay, maybe a short like this, you know, or a sentiment indicator of some sorts, like, yeah, that might be the only edge you really need, actually. And then you also obviously have to have the patience, and, you know, hopefully not be a super bad stock picker that let's say you buy 20 companies and all are the worst in the business. No, again, and I read his book, I read Bob's book, and I didn't fully grasp it then. It probably took, I mean, more market experience, just seeing how actually irrational it is on any given day, how short-term focused everyone is. Everybody's looking at Fed rates, GDP numbers, Fed talks. I haven't watched a Fed talk ever, I think. Maybe a few minutes of one. Okay, but I have good results, so obviously you don't need that. And when I got in at this level, when I started, I think it was around August actually, when I first got into sector, all I saw that, okay, everything is down like 80-90% from this peak here. It looks super cheap, and I bought. No stock picking really. I mean, I had some, I guess, quite terrible companies, but I understand the sector was cheap, and all of a sudden, you know, best quarterly rally in miners ever. So again, I didn't need stock picking. So if I just retrace my steps a bit, it's like, okay, I don't care about rates. I don't care really about inflation. I don't care about anything that everybody cares about. I didn't even need stock picking back here. Etc., etc. So I mean, it becomes kind of obvious, I think, that either I'm extremely lucky, or, you know, you have figured out a strategy that works. And my strategy is, at surface, extremely simple. Hold this until we reach here. I mean, I can sum that strategy up in, again, one sentence. Brixton Metals has been doing quite well recently. Talked a bit about Brixton Metals on K Report, etc. And I just looked at the chart. We seem to be at quite an interesting point. Excuse me. Depending on how you draw these lines, of course. But let's say, you know, somewhere around here. I mean, this is voodoo anyway. This still produces quite an interesting picture. It's like a downtrend that has lasted since 2008, and one could say we are at the cusp of it. Maybe it's actually up here, not far off anyway. And on the weekly, at least, RSI is, one could make a trend line here, or a resistance line. What is interesting to me about this is simply the fact that if this breaks, or I mean, even if it's up here or down here, doesn't really matter, that would be a huge breakout. kind of like I remember the Eloro short back in 2020, I think. Broke out around $1, headed to, I think, Eloro topped like 6 months later at $6, something like that. Obviously, there's some context here. BHP took a position in Brixton. Extremely good sign, again, because they probably wouldn't care if they don't see at least $2 billion potential in a project. And Brixton Metals has several projects, several targets, and some optioned projects as well with Ivanhoe Electric, etc. Of course, in the short term, we are going into assay risk, which makes it a bit hard because yes, it's up, 100-200%. I typically don't prefer to take assay risk, at least if you've already, we haven't had any real news. So, recently this is up with no risk, if you know what I mean. Because we haven't gotten any assays. At the same time, Camp Creek, the porphyry, is already a discovery, so it's not grassroots exploration. They can't really kill the story, and one would ask, or I ask myself, like, okay, we know that the XRF gun was very good at predicting grades, or the grades correlated very well with the holes they have assays from. So one would assume perhaps that BHP had a look at those XRF results as they've seen the core, and maybe that got them to like, yeah, there's some meat here. I don't know that for sure. That's just my assumption. And okay, if we just think about it scenario-wise, what happens? They have both assays awaited from, I think, the Trapper target, the Metla target, and Camp Creek. So the question is, what would we need to see for the Brixton store to be killed? They are cashed up, etc. So they I think are already set for next season. So basically, for there to be no hope and a permanent loss, they would need to almost kill every project and end up, having money, but there's no shot of creating any value. I don't see that happening. And then the question is, maybe, we know they had hit visible gold in at Trapper as well, the gold target. Sure, visible gold doesn't guarantee barn burner assays. We know that Trapper has produced very good assays. So I just find myself, again, running through the scenarios. What if they get into even user zones at Camp Creek, and it's becomes obvious why BHP invested? Then I think this is going to break out, and we might actually have a giant, what's really starting to form a giant, maybe a multi-billion-dollar porphyry story. With BHP being in, that lends a lot of credibility, obviously, and a lot of, let's say a much better narrative, a much better FOMO potential. What if the Camp Creek drilling is absolutely horrible, which I don't think is likely? Then will it get killed from that? Would people just walk away? Okay, BHP just invested, assays are, let's say, bad, but the question is, would the market buy that, BHP basically call it quits, or that no, they will for sure drill next season, because you don't kill a project this quickly, especially since it appears to be a very large target and they only have, 3-4 extra holes in it. They believe they clipped the edge of the actual porphyry, which would suggest that neither BHP or Brixton would say that the Camp Creek story is over simply because, the assay results might be poor coming out shortly. And then we also have to factor in that Metla might discover something interesting, at least at Metla and the Trapper Gold project, and I think they actually might be drilling at Langis in the not too distant future. So yes, it is as a risk, and it's up to each and every one to obviously decide. I mean, my position in Brixton has nowadays turned out to be relatively large, actually. So if we, and I expect it to get volatile with assays, obviously. If the market is disappointed, I will have some short-term pain. But that doesn't mean it will be long-term pain. Again, because the story might not be over, but let's say we have something like, who knows, this. So it's like, yeah, okay, we get actually a 33% correction maybe. And then as, we start to get into the next drill season, people are going to buy it, etc. So I would think balance of probabilities, even if we have a negative reaction, I don't think it will be enough. The drilling they are doing or have done, I don't think that can possibly kill all targets and not the story overall. So I would expect that to be in that case, a short-term paper loss, let's say. And of course, everybody's gonna feel like, because apparently everybody believes that a volatility and a paper loss, price going down in any time frame, is the worst thing that can happen, and it's a pure loss. But it's like, we have no idea. I mean, seriously, if let's say the trend is something like this, and we go down 33%, then we fast forward 6 months and then a year, and I mean, we don't know. Maybe we will have really good returns in Brixton if we hold, even if it goes down 33% or whatever. We don't know that. It's just we can just play around with scenarios, and again, volatility is where we get the opportunity. Maybe the correction is exaggerated if it's a negative correction. Maybe that becomes a buying opportunity all of a sudden. So sure, we take pain in our position, which might be a bit bloated here, go down 33%, everybody's screaming, their hair on fire, and talking about how they lost money or whatever. But maybe we see this as an opportunity. And if that turns out to be true, that yes, this was an opportunity, going to be drilling again, the stock price is going to respond again, they don't need to raise money, maybe we have an even bigger position here than we had here in terms of share amount, and larger than here. So when we get back here, sure, we might, if we have a full position, we prefer to go this way, but if we can, let's say, add 10% to this position, then all of a sudden, and we have a trend line like this, even though with volatility, that could end up being a very good investment in the medium to long term. So again, it's like we have to be very dispassionate about what the market does on any given day. That's why I think the worst, or one way to really shoot yourself in the foot and do a disservice to yourself is to whine. Because if some really negative news is out in a stock, it goes down 30%. If the story is over and it's warranted to go down 30%, you have to move on immediately. Yeah, okay, you took a big loss, etc. I mean, you're going to take a lot of losses. And it's like Stanley Druckenmiller said about George Soros. He's the best loss taker he's ever seen, and he happens to be one of the most famous speculators or investors or traders or whatever you want to call him. He was dispassionate, like you have to be in poker, even if you have a bad beat. Now this was just a scenario what could happen, negative, etc. But maybe the Camp Creek result, maybe they hit the juice reports, and or maybe they hit something interesting at Metla, and or maybe they hit something at Trapper. In that case, there's a possibility in the not too distant future that will actually break out of this humongous wedge. in that case, that should be the start of something that could maybe run for 6 to 12 months at least. I mean, if we, the larger the base, the higher in space. If that's true, I mean, this might again. I mean, seriously, if BHP is after a BHP size price, if we break out of this and it turns out to be a BHP size price, I mean, I have no idea where this could end in that case. I don't actually know what's like. Okay, it's at 100 million now. 1 billion would be $3, excluding an additional dilution, and excluding warrants, etc. But let's say 2.7 or whatever. BHP might be at 5.4 in that case. That's 2 billion. From 30 cents to, let's say, $5.4. That's obviously a serious multi-bagger, maybe from Camp Creek alone. So again, we don't know. It's just risk reward. If you have too much of a bloated position and you can't stand as a risk, take profits. I'm not sure actually how I'm gonna play this. It's especially intriguing again, given that we're probably, depending on where you draw these lines, etc. I mean, regardless how you exactly draw this, we're at the cusp of possibly a over a decade-long breakout on this chart, and that could be pretty epic. And if we do that, maybe again that's the start of something, and maybe we hold this for 2 years and we'll have a 10-bagger on our hands. I don't know. Interesting to look at, but again, it's like we have no idea what the results are going to be. We don't know what the market reaction is going to be. And don't take the market reaction as gospel. If expectations might be too high and actually the results are good and we go down, then we got an opportunity presented to us. So that's nothing to complain about. Yes, you'll have some short-term pain, but maybe in the end that's going to lead to even bigger returns. It's just that people always want the stock to go up all the time. Just looked at TriStar Gold. This is a mature developer, very cheap, Brazil. I think, I don't remember what the NPV is, but I think this could be possibly a sleeper. I mean, Brazil appears to be quite a favorable mining jurisdiction. I don't know if much change with the new president. But you can see it also has these cycles. I mean, it's, pretty much these cycles. It goes down to being very cheap, and it's obviously more advanced now than it was here, etc. I think, again, at these gold prices, probably net present value of like, I don't know, 500 million US at around $1,800 gold. I think the market cap is 40 million Canadian, so it's super cheap. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if that actually got acquired. But it's, I guess, kind of a boring stock, but at least it's banked success. They already have a project. I don't actually remember what stage they have in. I think they're beyond PEA. I think they might have PFS stage, but I'm not 100% sure, so you have to look that up yourselves. But this is, I think, it's like, I don't think one is overpaying for the stock at least. Then we have Scottie Resources, which I wrote up, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. And again, one of those HODL stories that, expectations, they do expect Scottie Resources to grow, the maiden resource, and then grow some more. If growth keeps up, I expect to be able to sit on my hands for the next few years and just let the story play out. Again, extremely simple stuff. They hit really good holes at their Blueberry target, and which were in line with what you would want to see according to the Kennerland discovery story. And again, it's like, I think they're gonna hit more, and they did hit more. Some really good holes, 13.3 meters over 12 meters, I mean, outstanding hole. 9.12 over 16.5, 15 meters, outstanding. This pretty broad, decent grade, broad intercept, 9. I mean, this is outstanding drill results, and recently they hit 31.8 grams over 4 meters and 6.82 over 6.82 meters on their D zone target. So the interesting part is obviously some good highlighted holes. This is where they've drilled a lot of thick and high grade holes, and this is where the news release from yesterday had assays from. It has seen some drilling, but I don't think, I believe these are better than the historic ones. But I guess the important thing is, like, the blueberry zone looks to be shaping up well, and it's open at depth at many places. I mean, some of the best holes for any junior has drilled, actually. And obviously there's more here, and they also have the old Scottie Gold mine, which is not too far off. It's wide open pretty much. So again, I think and it's near the Premier mine, and this part of BC is really heating up, so I wouldn't be surprised if this turned out to be a mine one day. And if that's the case, high grade near Premier Gold, somebody might be thinking of consolidating. If they find 1-2 million ounces of high grade gold here, that might be worth several $100 million. So this is one of those cases that so far it's playing out according to the I wouldn't say textbook, but you know what I mean. And it has outperformed Bear Creek Mining. This is the beauty of Alpha Place, obviously. I think I released a piece around here, so that's now in the green, and that's off from extremely low sentiment levels. And again, you can see how Alpha can be very thankful. It has outperformed, even though the sector continued to go down. They kept hitting, so it instead went flat, and now it's actually up as sentiment has turned a bit, and they had more good results. And it looks like, depending on how you draw some of these trend lines, I guess, it looks to have, broken out. I mean, I think Scottie has bottomed, at least. That's what I would expect. And we're at obviously some kind of resistance zone here, etc. So I mean, it's hopefully it will be continue to be a HODL story, that the trend is up, and in 1-2 years we might have a multi-bagger in Scottie Resources, and you don't need a guarantee for that, because that's such good results that if that has a, I don't know, 20% chance of happening, that might be worth it, or at least let's say 30. And who knows if it turns out to be a 5-bagger. I mean, you don't need many of those. That would pay for 5 other companies that went to zero. Another interesting story, Alpha Exploration drilled, wait, is this the new one? Yeah, I think this is the new one. Borna Gold prospect delivers positive drill results in 4 areas, including 16 meters at 14.07 grams per ton gold. And you can see 20 meters of 7.70 and 60 meters. I mean, that's this is a 224 gram meter interval. And you can see this. I think I remember there being over 100 gram meter intercepts from at least 3 areas, but I'm not 100% sure. But here you can see Hill 52 area, northeast area. So okay, superb result. I mean abnormally good results. And yeah, I mean this is at least a sniff, and you can see a Burna Central area 33.71. I mean, if that's oxide, well, I guess it's a bit deep, but 5 meter 38, 24 meters 1.43, a bit deep. But this is super early station, like the Kennerland study show. Median of the discovery population is 134 gram meters. And they have some other points. To capture majority of the 5 million ounce deposits, discovery intersects should have 10 meters of mineralized rocks. And they also talk, if a company drills less than 4,000 meters with a 75 gram per ton intersect, this could be very significant, and the median discovery drill program is 228 meters. If a company drills 10,000 meters on an initial program and does not intersect a 100 gram per ton or gram meter intersect, this should downgrade the target. But as we can see, I think they mention here, consists of 25 holes totaling 3,196 meters. I think that's just from, actually I forgot if they, okay. And the fact that we've only drilled 43 holes to date, just over 5,000 meters. So that puts it in, slightly above 4,000 meters. Considerably less than 10,000 meters, and they already have a 224 gram intercept. And more than that, they actually have interesting or superb results from Hill 52, and what is that, Celebration Hill, I think. Okay, this was actually, I was just looking at Burna Central, northeast area, which is up here. So Hill 52 is here, northeast area up here, and you can see the trend line, and Quinton talked about this in the recent Crescat video. But they're hitting stuff here as well. They're hitting stuff here as well, and you can see the scale, I think it's 6 kilometers. So this might be a huge gold system, and they already know that they have 100 gram meters thick intercepts here and here. So if this connects, etc. I mean, and think about it. I mean, the whole point of the Kennerland study is that given how drill hole is just a small sliver, and if you don't really have much to go by, meaning early stage grassroots, I mean, the odds of you hitting really good results, if it's not a very robust systems, are very low. Because yes, there are some systems where you have a small area, really small area perhaps, with high grade and thick widths. What are the odds that Alpha were so lucky that they hit the they intercepted with their small drill bits the only areas where there's actually wide high grade gold? I think that's very low. So in that case, again, it's like the Alpha exploration case was, first of all, the people. I mean, absurdly good people. They already have, a discovery in their copper gold. My point was that, time is the enemy of a bad management team, a friend of an exceptional management team. Yada, yada, yada. That basically, if you give these guys time, a team of this caliber, time and some money, they have an abnormally high chance of discovering something, creating value. So yes, this, I don't remember when this was actually written. May 17th, 2022. So around 6 months later, and now they're kind of, confirming even more that at least a Burna appears to be, and they already have a discovery. So, again, it's just a simple case. I mean, these are some of the best people to explore in Africa of any team you could wish for, basically. And they have a bunch of targets. I don't remember if I. I expect the company's chances of having material success goes up with time. Thus, I think there is a fair chance that I could be up a lot on the stock if I check back in 12-24 months. Note, I'm not betting the form on Alpha exploration, yada yada yada, obviously, because they hadn't. Well, first it's on a liquid stock. But now is, with these latest drill results, kind of again confirming that there's wide high grades kilometers apart. That is the start of something. This might be confirmation pretty much that this might be a significant discovery. If that's the case, there's a long runway here. They could be drilling. I would expect them to have no problem really raising money to drill more at Aberna. Yes, it's in Africa, but still, this team, these kind of early results, which are very much within, let's say, the parameters, or the, let's say, within the good, solidly within the range of possibly having discovered what might end up being a multi-million ounce gold system. So in that case, I mean, imagine, fast forward in time, 12 months. They would have raised more money, drilled more, even more good results, because again, there's literally impossible that the best holes they hit were from these first 5,000 meters, when they're just basically probing around. So I would expect there to be a lot of more good results coming from here. And who knows, in again 2 years maybe it will be obvious that this is a multi-million ounce gold system. And in that case, we would most likely have a serious multi-bagger on our hands. We don't know, we don't need a lot of these kind of stories, but the important thing is that, the story got better, prices jumped a bit, I added some, because now it is a much, in my opinion, better case at a higher price level. And that's what I've been saying for quite some time, that I'm not afraid to quote chase a stock. If this suddenly went from like, I don't know, 5% chance of being something of significance to maybe a 20% chance, that is an immense difference. That's 4 times higher probability. So let's say there is a 20% chance of this being a $1 billion gold system. I mean, it could be more obviously, but and obviously less. But like if that's 20% chance of that, I mean of being worth 1 billion in, let's say, 2 years, the risk-adjusted value of that today would be 200 million. Right now, I think the market cap's around 43 million, 40, let's say 50. So it's pricing in a 25% chance of being worth, let's say, 200 million. And this is way better early exploration results than most companies will ever see. And again, the trend is huge, and they're doing infill soil sampling here, and there's soil sampling here, and they hit stuff here. So who knows? We have no idea how this is gonna end up. We just know that what we pay for it today, and what the results and this picture suggests about the potential. So again, you don't need to be 100% sure or that all of these works out the way you think. If this works out very well, let's say we get a 5-bagger in alpha exploration over the next 2 years. That alone paid for 5 other companies that went to zero. So if you have 5 of these, and I mean, if one becomes a 5-bagger and the other one a 2-bagger, you'll be up. And a 5-bagger is not, I think, the limit of what we're seeing here. But again, that is going to require time. If you're short-term trading this, I mean, in my opinion, you're wasting the biggest value driver, which is the management team. Because let's say if you just, I don't know, again, trade. I mean, you could trade anything. You could trade crypto. So basically, I see that stuff as a waste of time. I mean, then I would probably rather trade something completely different where you don't really care if it's a good management team or whatever. But stories like this with, apparently, or what seems to be very high blue sky potential, you have a team that have made significant discoveries in this part of Africa. The best way, I think, to play that combination is time. Holding a stock. Because they've already shown. This is like, I don't know if one would say it's like I would guess the second serious discovery. I mean, the copper gold target they already discovered. They're still working on that, but I think this is going to turn out to be the flagship project now, obviously, because the early results are so abnormally good. Yeah, I'm very again. It's like this became a much better story in my opinion. Now I would again be surprised to not see more 100-gram meter intercepts, as long as they just keep drilling and get money, etc. So I would expect. I mean, I think it now is starting to look like a Scottie Resources story. Probable growth, and I value that much higher than potential growth. This just this was Scottie, I guess. Didn't I look at? I've just been looking around at some. I actually bought some Kootenay silver in the private placement. And you see stuff like this nowadays. I mean, it appears that again, I personally think this was the bottom in juniors, or that quite a few juniors have seen the bottom. And yes, tax loss selling season is not over yet, but you're seeing some of these juniors do well when even metal prices get smashed, etc. And again, we're deep in tax loss selling season, deep correction, and still they are showing some strength. So question is, how many people are left willing to sell for tax loss reasons, or just because most people love to sell low? How many of those are left? It appears that we really are running out of sellers, and that more and more shares are in strong hands, maybe in hands of people who are who are gonna hold it, not the whole position, but like be pretty much fully invested in this sector until we reach this. If that's the case, I mean, it's gonna path of least resistance is going to be up, and at least I think after tax loss selling season, because I think there are some juniors out there that, I mean, you see a lot of sell orders lately. It's like Mawson, which I talked about recently, has pretty big volume, gets punished now and then. I mean, it swings it might be up 10% and then somebody sells, etc. So I mean, I see that as an opportunity, and I think a lot of that selling will disappear after this month is up. So that's why I think this is a tax loss selling season for the ages, and I don't believe anything that the market is saying right now when it comes to sell-offs on no news. That is a gift. Unless there's negative news out, that's a gift by definition. That's why I picked up Western Alaska at 250, and that's a HODL story. So I mean, who knows, maybe that small extra ad, I mean, it was a really small ad, but maybe that will give me 200% over 12 months. That is a superb result. And again, Brixton, my guess is that it's already bottomed, and it's now on the cusp of a possible mega breakout. And I don't know if it will break out. I just think, the more I think about it, that I'm not too keen on taking profits even going into assay results actually. Because even if we have a negative reaction to all the results, I mean, both from Trapper, Metla and Camp Creek, I don't think we're risking a permanent loss, but rather a short-term paper loss in that case. And if the results are actually kind of BHP worthy, I expect us to break out of here and might be in for a really good 12 to 24 months. The worst thing I know is assay risk, early stage pre-discovery, where a company can actually kill the whole story, because that might become a permanent risk. Let's say Brixton had only a grassroots exploration target, they only had money to test that, they miss, and that's the only target they have. That has no business really going up again if it goes down, because they pretty much have no potential value, let's say. That is not the case. So there's a big difference between assay results or assay risk and assay risk. And in this particular case, it's actually has proof of or thumbs up from BHP, and they are diversified in the sense that they have 3 targets that they have drilled. So the chance of them drilling only dusters from 3 targets is considerably less, obviously, than if they only had 1 target. And maybe 1 of 3 targets produce good results. That might be enough for, maybe not even a serious short-term correction. Although I think, Camp Creek has most eyes, but we saw it react when there were good gold results out from the Trapper target. This is stuff I love, just game theory basically. And like Napoleon said, you should know what to do if the enemy comes from your rear, your side, any side, and in the front of you. So if you understand how the market is probably gonna think, or what happens, that again, a negative reaction might be a buying opportunity than a disaster. We might end up making more money. It's like I said last video. If this was actually the bottom back here, and we went up here, my results would be worse 2 years from this point, let's say, or at least 3 years. Now when this wasn't the bottom and I got to buy all the way down, my long-term results are going to be even better. That's my belief. So again, we have to disconnect from the daily noise. Think about, even some stocks, let's say you have a big position in a stock. It's like Magna Mining, for example. That's down, I think it went up like 10% yesterday, down like 9-10% today. Yesterday I was like, yeah, I have a immense position in Magna Mining. It's like I have to take some profits sooner or later. But now it went down 10% on no news. A discount of 10% is a considerable amount. So all of a sudden, 1 day's worth of volatility, and all of a sudden Magna become much better. My inclination to sell or take some money off the table went down a lot by just 1 day's worth of a sell-off. And if I didn't have such a big position, maybe I would add. Maybe I'm gonna add in some HODL portfolios. So again, it's like when you start to realize volatility for what it is, and you're playing the long game, like what is Magna Mining gonna look like in 12-24 months. If you see a 10% sell-off in a stock like that, a assuming you're not, already have a maybe wildly overblown position, that might be the best thing that happened to you that day. That your, let's say, large position went down because you got a chance to add. So you maybe sold something else and bought that, because that 10% discount is going to net you, let's say, 30% with more returns over the next 2 years. So this is right now in tax loss selling, this is crunch time. What we do at these bottoms have immense implications for our long-term results. If something is dirt cheap and goes down 10%, if one buys that, again, it's like maybe you added another 30% future return. So start to love volatility. Volatility is the currency of the fully invested investor. If there was no volatility, it would be much harder to have really good returns. And if we're at no-brainer buy levels, if we get a flush in any stock, that's a high-quality stock, story super intact, those are real gifts. Yeah, went a bit longer, I guess, than this is not a big position, Kootenay. But again, I got warrants, etc., and I expect, Kootenay to do well in a silver bull, because they actually have some pretty interesting targets and results, and this is just the RSI daily, which I like. I mean, again, this looks like it's just started a new leg up. Who knows? Maybe it goes down and then up. Anyway, not investing advice. Consider me biased with any company I've talked about. For your sake, assume I might buy or sell shares at any point in time. Always make up your own mind. If you don't see the case or why you own a stock, you're gonna end up making mistakes, because you're gonna get scared when somebody sells the stock. You're gonna think that he is right and you are not right. You're gonna think that Mr. Market is right. Oh, it's sold off. That means for whatever reason, with no news out, the story simply got worse. And instead of buying, you might end up selling. And that's what people do all the time. Buy high, sell low. Even on a day-to-day basis, especially week-to-week basis. But if you have a much longer-term perspective, you would treat every sell-off on no news at a time like this as a gift, which could, again, materially affect your long-term results. So if you have 10 stocks, you love all 10 stocks, none of the stocks have news out, 2 went down 10%, 1 down 15%, 1 up 5%, the rest neutral. Maybe that's an opportunity to add 15% to your 2-year returns if you shuffle around a bit. So again, don't take volatility personal. Use volatility. Use what everybody else is scared of. Use Mr. Market's short-term and emotionally charged decision making to your advantage. Think about what I like to visualize where I think a story is going to be or look like 12 months from now. Go through all the news releases I expect to see, guesstimate the results, and then just, do I think this is going to be worth more when this range of outcomes or news is out, or worth and priced less than now? Again, some HODL stores, I think my base case is that they will have added hundreds of % of value within 2 years. So in that case, why on earth would I care what Fed does with rates or where silver is trading tomorrow or next month? If silver is down 10% in 2 years and they've added 300% of value, I think I'm going to be up regardless if I even knew that silver was going to go down 10%. Or hey, it might be more. But if silver was up and they added 300%, you're going to make a ton of money. So the risks become by default or to the upside in that case. Again, not investing advice. Consider me biased. Some companies are sponsors. Take care.